Greetings. This is Starseed Scotty, and I'm here with Amy, and we're going to be talking a little bit about her astrology starseed origin and her birth chart and how astrology can relate to her life and understanding the bigger picture. So what I'm going to do here is do a screen share, Amy, and we can look at your chart, and then feel free to ask any questions. And I'm just really curious of if the star markings I see here are related to your life experiences, which we briefly talked before, and it really seems like there's quite a lot involved.
Yeah.
So here's your birth chart. Have you ever looked at astrology before?
No.
Okay. So I'll try not to be too technical because this is like its own magical language, but it can be really simple too.
Okay.
The first thing that struck me when I looked at your chart is your sun sign is at Virgo, 5 degrees, but it's exactly conjunct your ascendant, which is extremely rare. I have never seen this before. Now, most people do have unique charts, but to have your ascendant on your sun, just to put it in perspective, the ascendant sign changes sign every 3 minutes during birth. So if you were born 3 minutes later, it would be Libra, or 3 minutes before, you'd be Leo rising.
Yeah.
And so it's to do with how the sun rises. Excuse the background, that's just, I live in a city as well.
Yeah, we're used to that, aren't we?
Yeah, you're in Texas?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm in Hawaii, of all places. Isn't it funny? Okay, so what I'm going to do quickly is just read this interpretation of the sun ascendant and let me know if it makes sense to you, okay?
Okay.
All right. So the sun ascendant people have a strong personal impression. Others tend to see them as confident people or as leaders of sort. This is because they project strength. Of course, this strong impression can rub some people the wrong way. These people are noticeable and very aware of how they come across to others. So sun rising people tend to believe they're in control of their destiny. They don't usually believe in fate, and they'll take any comments as challenges. In fact, this concept extends to other areas of life. They prefer to lead rather than follow, and are usually most comfortable in situations where they have freedom to do so. They identify strongly with the image they project, and they usually prefer to be viewed as capable individuals. So the last part here is your sun is in the 12th house, so that's different.
Yeah.
So it means the desire to lead is noticed and great, but there may be some teetering when it comes to actually expressing these desires. These people may be inclined to daydream a lot and be awe-inspired leaders or the center of attention, but there can be much self-consciousness and reluctance to actually throw themselves into the spotlight. Over time, they may find ways to get attention or the position and importance they crave in their creative expression. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like I'm like secretly a leader, but then I just want to hide because people think I'm a people person, but I'm like, no, I just want to be left in the shadows, doing the behind scenes stuff that nobody, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the 12th house is the Pisces house, and I'm a Pisces sun, and I can tell you my whole life.
I don't like the attention unless it's positive, and if it's negative, I'm just like hiding in the spotlight, like I'm not dealing with nobody.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the sun is like our expression of ourselves. So that, and also the sun in the 12th house means we can be vulnerable and extremely sensitive to the outside world because this world is very intense, and the ascendant with your sun, that is like basically your soul is aligned with your personality, and the ascendant is pretty much how we show ourselves to the world, but the sun is like our internal world, And quite often it's really difficult to have those together. It's just, that's really, really unique. And
Yeah.
it explains why, in your story, you're telling me you experienced a lot of intensity. Because what I'll say is, at 6 degrees 30, where your ascendant is literally exactly aligned to the Draco homeworld called Thuban. And so it's like, and you said you experienced seeing literally Draco reptilians, and I was just curious if you could share that story a little bit, because this like doesn't seem to be a coincidence,
Okay. Well, I was on a very dark path as a teenager. It started around 12 years old. Well, really 7. I was like into cigarettes, and then around 11 and 12, I was into just alcohol, huffing, just pills, everything, like anything to numb myself and get high. And then right around 15, it just hit. Like, I was high on my pills that day, and I was smoking weed. I was the only one intoxicated, and we all seen the white reptilian, like the
Whoa.
hybrid one, and it chased us so bad. We captured it abducting people.
Whoa. How did that look?
Yeah. Well, nobody was in the van. We seen it was glowing green in the van, and we're being nosy, which we shouldn't have been, but we went up to it closer, and the Draco, the white one, just popped out of the door like it was going to try to abduct us. And so my first boyfriend, or my fiance, he started gunning it, and there was him in the front seat. Alvin was his cousin Alvin was right next to him. It was me behind Cheyenne, Bun Bun's on the beside of him, and we were gunning it up the mountain, like the cliff part where that reservation is by the water towers, and started chasing us. It ran up to like 50, 60, 80 miles an hour, and it scratched the side of the blazer, and then it jumped on top of us. It was like right above us, like on top of the top of the blazer, and it like literally powered down the blazer to where it almost stopped until we started praying, and it finally jumped off.
Well,
and we went like 100 miles an hour to get away from that thing.
Whoa. When you say blazer, what do you mean? Is that part of a car?
It was a Chevy Blazer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whoa. And how big was it?
How big was it? That one was like 7 feet tall.
Wow. Yeah.
And it had glowing greenish eyes, and it just had like anaconda skin.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of looked like a lizard, but humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's common. What the reporting. So I've been studying this stuff for about 10 years, and like what like aliens and how our world is multidimensional. Like.
Yeah.
Just
like
seems.
When I went. I'm gonna tell you the quick thing about then when I was 6 months pregnant with our son. I was about 21 years old, and there was a huge Draco. It was yellow with red piercing eyes, and it had horns and black wings, and it just stared at me, and I just froze. And I said, Cheyenne, look, do you see that too? I'm not hallucinating off these pills and crap in my. He goes, no. He's like, I see it too. But don't worry, it's my friend. I'm like, you're crazy. That's your friend? He's like, yeah, I don't do nothing. And just my inner self started praying in tongues, and it left. It just fleed. It was scary. It was like, but it's weird that he was like, it's my friend. Don't let it leave. It's like my angel. And I was like, what? I don't understand what you're saying right now. He's
So,
like, yeah.
Your friends thought that was their angel or your angel?
My fiance said that was his angel, and I was like, what?
Yeah, but if it was an angel, you'd think it would be protecting and loving, right? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
It frightened me, so I don't know, but
Yeah. So that, I mean, it's common. Like a lot of there's videos on their internet that says that the Dracos are evil and they're demons, and there's a lot of information, and I think a lot of it's true. But what I'm really careful about is not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, or not to be
I think
judgmental.
one thing about the Dracos, I know they live in the mountains. That's all I can think of is they live in the mountains.
Yeah,
Because that's the only place we've seen them by.
yeah. Many reports talk about them. They have underground bases, and
Yeah.
because according to many histories on the Earth, there's been life here for millions of years, and different races
Yeah.
from around the galaxy. And then the Dracos were apparently came here. There were some of the first. They actually claimed they were the first, which is why they claim they own this planet. Many of them, but I
Yeah.
think that the story goes much further back.
And
And
then there's like a weird thing. I'm going to do a twist really quick. But when I was 5 years old, I always felt lonely and stuff. I was like up at like 3 in the morning, and this is a weird story. I barely tell anybody these kind of things, but there was little fairies like just about like that big, and they came in through the window up in the mountains, and they were like dancing on my fingers, playing music. Like, I don't know, it's weird. I had that experience too.
wow, yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much more going on in our reality, and that's why I've been so fascinated to talk about people who are into the idea of star seeds and um, just like how there's spirits, there's different forms of life that we can call spiritual, because
Yeah,
just because we do not see it doesn't mean it's not real. And
yeah,
there's just so much that can explain that, like the fact that our eyes can only perceive about 1% of the visible spectrum. And
yeah.
there's so much more like electricity and magnetism and all of these energies. We don't see them, but we can feel them. So that's kind of the analogy I like to use. And I think all of us have spirit guides. I feel like I get help all of the time. Like, but the biggest question I ask is, are the spirit guides helping us, or are they? Do they have their own agenda?
Yeah.
I think this
Like,
is one.
um, since I was a little girl, I had this little girl always saying, "Do you know where my parents are?" And just, "Do you know where my parents are?" And she would hide in my dad's closet. And I dealt with her all the way. While I was in Montana, she didn't follow me down here, thank God. But when I turned about 22, she turned into an old woman, and I seen her come out of my closet, and this is in my dream, and she like was trying to get me like with her arms like this. She was when she was young, when she was little looking, she had black strangly hair and in a white nightgown. But then like when I got older, and fast forwarding to the dream now, she had gray strangly hair in that white nightgown, but in an old lady version, like trying to get me. Like I remember when I almost died from rat poisoning. She was trying to take me home, so-called, weird like stuff. But turned out to be an old woman instead of a little girl. It was so creepy.
Wow. So when you experienced that, were you able to discern her intention? Like was she trying to help you? You think, or
When I was younger, she would try to manipulate me and say she's trying to help me. And then I started thinking, she's not helping me. She's angry. She's just making me
yeah,
do weird stuff. And I didn't trust it anymore.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
my
That's common.
my friends would tell me when I would get angry, they'd get scared of me because they're like, "Amy, I'm really scared of you. Your face is turning into an old woman kind of face." And I was like, "What? You serious?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're really scared of you." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on."
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
every time I was angry, she would show out of my face like that old woman instead of, that little girl as she portrayed to me she was.
Mhm.
So I cut ties with that, and my life has been a lot better, I guess you could say.
Mhm. May I ask how you cut the ties? Did you do like a ritual, or just like a way that saying that you didn't want to connect anymore?
I just prayed to God. Like I said, Jesus, I was like, please, Jesus, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm a witch kind of person, or like I see this is as she would act and lie like she's protecting me, and it was just kind of a witchcraft kind of thing. I think handed down generational thing. And I was like, I don't want this. I want to be the light. I don't want the darkness no more. I'm not getting anywhere with this darkness. I want to be light and help people change and help themselves. I didn't like the feeling of, the dark. Like the dark made me like a gangster kind of person, and just switched my personality to who I wasn't. And I was always like cloudy minded, and I couldn't think for myself really. That's how I can just explain it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I know it can be really difficult to express our experiences when they are really challenging, and especially with dark stuff. And I can really relate to this because I'm only 1 year older than you. We have a spiritual connection that is in the astrology of, because when we live in a similar year or similar day, there's like an energy that's shared. And what we both have is the planet Pluto in Scorpio.
Yeah.
And that's all about like understanding what's called the underworld, which is basically just how in life, life and death are actually not as separate, I've come to realize, than what we believe. Like we're taught many things like good and evil are separate, but actually I find that most things are shades of gray. It's like
I think they collide a lot.
Yeah. And most people we meet, some people can be lovely, but pretty much everybody is a dark side. And
we all have the good, or you have a choice, like the free will, like it does say in the Bible. You can pick light or you can pick dark, and that's what everybody's facing today. And just like the demons and the angels, they can still flip either way. Demons can be good if they want to. Angels can be bad too. I think they're here on earth with us secretly. Like, I think I really do believe Satan, even God, could be on this earth with us, and we really don't know, because they could be camouflaged as human, and we have no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I've learned is to discern is basically how does it feel, because I find the feelings and the emotions are much better at detecting the intention of something than just thoughts alone. But obviously we want to use our minds and our heart, so to speak, because those are the two main gifts we have as humans. And actually we probably have other senses, especially like the whole psychic realm, that I'm really interested in, because people can tune into things, in many ways that are mysterious. And so in your astrology chart, I did see quite a few things that were interesting and relates. So the story you told about your Draco experience relates to your ascendant and your sun. That means you have a lot of light in your soul, and probably maybe you have a royal Draco heritage. That's my guess. You probably have past lives. But these, when we say past lives and future lives in astrology, quite often the strange thing is,
I feel like I'm high up in the Dracos, and I don't know how to explain it. I've always had that connection. I don't know why, but I feel like I'm high up in a Draco, but I'm high up in a different one too. I just don't know what the other half is. I explain it. I just feel
okay. So
it's weird.
So I'll do another screen share, and then I'll show you your chart here. And actually after this, I'll send you the chart, and you can look at it and also read a report, and then we can maybe talk about this again, because this is a really in-depth. There's so much information here, and I just really like to share it to people, because it gives us. It's like if our life is like a story, then it's not just one chapter. We, like, as souls, we have traveled to probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different planets and stars, and we've been different elements. It's like a fantasy movie, actually, but because in this world we're pretty much like asleep, we just believe that this experience is everything, then we have to like be like a detective and kind of like figure it out as we're going along.
Like sometimes I have a feeling of just being in like a peaceful field with some trees and just breathing fresh air and
Hmm.
just eating the
Yeah,
best food, like healthiest food you can think of. That's how I feel. Like,
yeah.
and just the peace of the crisp warmth of the air and just, I don't know. That
That
was,
makes a lot of sense because you have a lot of earth energy. So
mhm,
what I'll do is I'll do like a little circle on your chart, just so you can see it, and because this helps to, because it looks doesn't really make any sense for the first time to see it, but all of these little lines and symbols are
yeah,
markings for things that you have done in your past and also things that you have chosen for this life. So you have a lot of earth energy. This circle here in the red is all Capricorn, and that's earth energy. And
yeah,
earth energy is basically like, as it explains, you have as a relationship to uh, physical things, and the planets Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune are about your dreams, your stability in life, and your transformation. And
mhm,
they're all in pretty good aspect to your sun and ascendant, which means they're in harmony with your Virgo. Virgo is about details and about service and duty and helping. Um,
yeah,
so that really means that, yeah, I think you have been a healer in past lives and have the potential in this life because your Mars, which is the planet Mars, represents our willpower and action. That's in your first house, which means you have a drive to understand what service and healing is. Uh,
yeah.
and not only that, you're you have another starseed marking, which is this red line at the top. The planet
Yeah.
Chiron is exactly aligned to this star system called Sirius. Have you heard of Sirius before?
Is that like Syrian?
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
wow! But like that post you just sent me about it, the Syrian and the Dracos have a close tie together.
yeah. According to most sources I've come across, the name called the Anunnaki are a hybrid.
Anunnaki?
Say again?
Anunnakis?
Anunnaki, Anu. There's different names, but that's the basic term for it. They're a
Yeah,
hybrid race of Orion Dracos and Sirius B beings. And
yeah.
many people say that the Anunnaki have been managing this planet for like 30,000
Well,
years.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So, like the higher up in like the artists and like the actors and everything, they're all tied in to the Dracos and the Syrians. Then, correct?
Um.
Like the Rothschilds and all of it.
Oh, I,
Like
I
they
I
all
thought. Yeah, I thought you said artist. Did you say something else?
like actors and
Oh, yeah. So yeah, exactly. Hollywood is referenced to. That's like a magical.
yeah,
Um, I would say a lot of the elites, the royal bloodlines, are connected to the Draco, but the Sirian. I mean, the Sirius star system is very large. There's probably hundreds of different races there, and
okay.
similarly, the Draco have they
Because
have.
like the weird thing about all of this and hearing about all this is like my last name, like my grandma's mom's last name was Morissette, like the Alanis Morissette singer. And then like if we were related to her, that would be weird because like my husband researched stuff and he said Madonna and Justin Bieber and all of them are related together, like all those actors. And I'm like weirding out about it. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, there's just because these bloodlines have pretty much been ruling the planet, and in terms of like the
Crazy.
major civilizations, it can seem like a massive conspiracy. In a way, it is, but in another way, that's just how it's always been, and that's how they deal with things. Uh, but that's not to say that they're all necessarily evil. Like a lot of them are born into it, and they're actually forced to do all of these things, rituals,
Yeah.
and I mean, it can go into black magic and stuff. But I think there's other things too, like
Yeah.
some of them they're just really good business people, and they have a very strong type of like warrior spirit. A lot of them.
Yeah.
But the Syrians, though, I have a feeling that you're connected to a Syrian like a more healing Sirian energy, because the planet Chiron, it represents spiritual healing. It can also represent a wounding, like that, something that you're trying to heal, basically.
Yeah.
And I did see some asteroids. I use asteroids in astrology, and that's just a way it gives more information of why we chose the chart. And
Yeah.
I wrote down in this little text here. So I'll just name them quickly because this will give an idea. Okay, so you have the asteroid Scylla Lunam, which is, and also Vulcanus, that is aligned with your Chiron. Now, those are really like obscure names, and I can send you more information if you do like. But Scylla Lunam was the name of an Inuit goddess, like a creation goddess. So it's like a high feminine spirit.
Okay.
And then the planet Vulcanus represents strength and power, and it's like kind of like a spiritual warrior type energy.
Yeah.
So when several of these things are aligned, it means that you probably chose that because you wanted to heal and become empowered. And
Yeah.
so I really think if you connected to the Sirian energy, either by watching videos or reading up about Sirians, it might help by it. You can just intuitively figure out things that you need. Because that's what I've done over time.
Some weird thing, like I met some girls that were from Israel over here in Texas, and they said you really look Syrian.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is it's not exactly related to the place in the country called Syria.
I know, it's so weird. Yeah.
But it might be, because most language is related, so it wouldn't surprise me. Because the Syrians actually helped create the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah.
So that would make sense, right?
Yeah, in a way.
Another thing I saw is you mentioned witchcraft or something with the story of the old lady.
Yeah.
And you do have a marking of an energy that can be associated with the witchcraft. It's called Black Moon Lilith. Have you heard of that before?
No, but it kind of seems like her.
Yeah. So Lilith is an archetype of a dark goddess. Now, it doesn't mean evil.
She's the queen of all demons, right?
That's a good question. I would say she's kind of like, well, the queen of the underworld would be more Eris. It's a planet that is kind of like, they're all like a part of a coven or something, or they're all related. Yeah. And I actually personally have this energy in my chart, and I've learned that it's not evil at all. It's just something, it's basically some, like, witches, they're all burned at the stake in history, and like, they were taught of being evil, but actually they were nature worshippers, and the society was afraid of them because society wanted to control. It's a classic story. They had natural power, they could heal people, and they knew psychic stuff to connect to other worlds, and that was a threat. So that's why they were destroyed. But their energy didn't go away.
Her name that you talked to me? Can you send me a link to her too?
Yeah, absolutely. You have this exactly aligned with your planet Venus, and planet Venus is a very impersonal planet. It's about our relationships to ourselves and others.
Yeah.
So I think that means that you, in this life, you could do a lot of self-healing with that. And incidentally, you have 2 planets in the Arcturian constellation. Have you heard of Arcturians before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be another energy to just, if you're curious to learn and explore. I've been doing a lot of that. There's some really cool people who talk about these races on YouTube videos, and it's just, I find it just really enjoyable because they share wisdom and just helpful information.
Okay.
As far as the Sirians
So do you think I'm like a mix of Arcturian, Sirian, and Draconian?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. That's what your chart indicates. You probably have many others. Actually, Ophiuchi is a 4th one, because your 4 planets in Capricorn, 3, well, 4. is
Okay.
is
Just
where
send me a link of both of those, please.
yeah, I'll do that because it's a lot of info and it's not really the right time to share it now.
Yeah.
But do your research and please let me know if it resonates because I've been studying this for 15 years now and I've done enough on myself and I feel I really just want to share with others, which is why I wanted to do this video because we can actually figure this out for ourselves. It's not like you need someone to tell you who you are.
Yeah.
I'd say that only we can know ourselves and no one else can. They can only help us.
That is true. We can only help ourselves if we really want help. But if we don't, then
Yeah.
it is.
And that comes to another part of asking for help. I found by asking spirit for help and spirit guides, it's really
Yeah.
allowed me to get out of traps and a lot of, because there's just so much weird stuff. And that's why I really liked hearing your stories of experiences you've had because I think it's really common. I think actually pretty much everyone is going through different degrees of this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And have you heard of what's called the New Earth or the Ascension? Have you heard, like, because I met you on the Starseed Awakening group, I think, on Facebook. And
Before my first fiance passed away, he was always seeing 1111. And that's when I really started seeing it. Before he passed away was 1111. And I still see 1111 today and 111.
yeah, yeah, me too. I actually see that a lot. That's related to Aquarius because we're actually entering a new age of Aquarius. We're in the cusp of it because it's like a 10,000 year cycle. But
Yeah.
we're exiting the age of Pisces, and that all of the shadows of that is like being a martyr, being a savior, trying to save the world, trying to save ourselves. I know
Yeah.
this because I have some pretty interesting Pisces energy, and what we have to learn is that really we can save ourselves, but we can't save everyone else. We can
No.
help others, but we have to kind of like understand. One of the thing about Pisces is delusion. We can like basically live in our own fantasy world, and we do that for self-protection because there's just so much
Turtles do
crazy
that
stuff.
too. We come up with our imaginary world to
Yeah,
protect our hurts.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I found is actually we can do that in a positive way by imagining things that we love, using our imagination to connect to higher worlds because
Yeah.
it's real. I mean, I experience it all the time, but we just have to be able to access it in a way that feels true and comfortable and safe.
Yeah.
So, is there any other questions you have, or stuff, or any stories you'd like to share that's related to your chart?
Oh, I think that's it right now.
That's awesome. I've really enjoyed looking at your chart. I really think you're a very powerful soul. You're probably, yeah, some kind of royalty in the Draco Empire. And that doesn't mean that you have to become. So, one of the things of the Draco system is they have a very, very controlling hierarchical system. So,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not going to judge it to say it's good or bad, but pretty much there's a lot of control involved and there's a lot of obligation. And it's kind of like in our society, like the way
I think I'll
governments and
stay in the
laws.
back lines of all the mess.
Say again?
Said I'm gonna stand in the back line, back, thing of all the mess.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's what I do. I kind of stay in under the radar, so to speak. And if there's any things I can share, please message me at any time because there's lots of little techniques. For example, meditating in nature, taking salt baths, connecting to watching videos about these star races, and also
Like
things about
the
healing.
weekend though, that I've been just thinking about, like one last thing I've been thinking about, like weird stuff. Like I looked at the Queen of England's photo one time, and then I looked at my grandma's photo, and they look almost alike, and it tripped me out, like teeth and all. I was like, oh, hell no.
And you know where the Queen of England comes from? What royalty, what bloodline she's in?
Draco.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And I'm
what I
like,
hear.
and
Yeah,
I have a feeling like, oh God, I'm related to them.
yeah. So
Like,
I actually
that's
think
how I
that
felt.
there's something noble as well, though, because I think there's something like the idea of dragons, and you know, there's a lot of movies that have dragons, and like most of them are fire breathing evil things, but actually, I think
Some of them are good.
they're
Some of them.
protecting.
There's good and bad in each one, in
Yeah,
each
yeah,
one.
exactly.
Just like people, there's where we can choose to be good or bad. That's what it is for everyone, I think. It's just what we
Yeah,
choose to
mhm,
embrace. Just
yeah,
like white magic and black magic, it's what you choose.
yeah, yeah,
Some
and
people think you can be in between, but you can't be in between for long.
right, exactly. Yeah, we have to choose choose an intention. Like people think, well, I'm just gonna go halfway. I'm gonna wait until it feels like there's no middleman. If we give our power away, we say, well, I'll just do this and maybe they'll figure out. No, we have to decide now. Like I've committed my life to be a spiritual servant, and I will not tolerate
Yeah.
any negativity. Now, I will accept it because I understand people, you know, we all have problems, but we have to make
Yeah.
an affirmation that we desire to feel love and peace, because like pretty much we're actually more magical in our as a human being than I think most people realize. Like we attract the reality
Yeah.
that we think and we feel. I have pretty much discovered that. So it's just about
We're more
taking steps.
powerful in the spiritual realm too,
Say again?
because we can I said, my husband taught me this, that we're more powerful than the spiritual realm. We can tell them to leave because we're actually living. Like,
Yes,
he taught
absolutely.
me that.
Yes, that is very true because, you know, there's so much mind control and propaganda in this world,
We
but
can taught me, he taught me to tell him, like, get out of here. This is my domain now. I'm alive and you're not,
yeah.
pretty
Now,
much.
a little disclaimer, well, not split, but a key point I've realized over the time, because I've been attacked spiritually from energies for like last 10 years. And I've learned to become like a spiritual warrior, so to speak, protect myself. And what I've found is that actually the best way to protect is actually not forcing, but just to focus on the energy of bliss and love. And it's not to say that I will ignore negativity, but if I'm angry at something, then actually I can attract more anger. So I turn the energy of anger into a passion. So I'm passionate about things I love, people that I care about, nature, things that taste good and feel good. So it really takes a little bit of practice, because when we're feeling terrible by an attack, when we're like being drained or whatever, like the first thing it then comes to is I need to just be defensive and to just like just force these things away. And sometimes that's true, but actually it gets much easier when we learn, when we have a trust that we're always protected by spirit guides. That's another
I,
thing.
I just pray to God, you know. I am kind of like Christian, but I'm spiritual about it. And I have to use the whole armor of God when I'm being attacked. And I'm just, just pray.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
go away.
yeah.
Stuff stops happening. But if I'm not faithful and I'm not praying or, doing something, I get attacked harder.
Mhm.
Like if I don't read my Bible or, study or do something, in the positivity.
Mhm.
I get angry, and my anger is it's scary.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's okay. I mean, because anger is a expression from the soul, a deep down like passion. And I find
Yeah.
that the higher our vibration, because we're energy beings, we're based on vibration and sound, and so the higher our vibration, the naturally we will just attract the things that we want. Because most of these negative Draco and AI and Greys and various other beings are lower vibrational.
Yeah.
Whole story about that, and it's not to say that they're like evil, but it's just they operate on a energy that is based on fear. So if we're
So do you think like some of us that are from those star systems and stuff, that we're just here on Earth and we're just figuring out how to up our vibrations, or like learning? We're in a learning process, right? To be more positive and stop our negativity behaviors from the past then?
Yes,
So it seems like
absolutely.
we're in hell. This planet seems like hell to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's both, actually, I found. So this was originally a prison planet. This is like a farm. But the Draco took over this planet with the Anunnaki, I think, about 20,000 years ago, with the help of an artificial intelligence and various other beings. And so this world is billions of years old. There's been spirits here and dragons and beautiful beings, fairies and all that kind of stuff that was here way before that. But pretty much this planet was taken over because they're like warriors, and they set up technologies that created like a prison, like where nothing can come in. But it's based on energy. So heaven, or you could call it angel.
So like that, but that was really true than like the Dark Crystal movie then. That could have happened billions of years ago.
Yeah, the Dark.
Wow.
And I like that movie because he holds a crystal. I hold crystals all the time. The reason the crystals stopped the dark one is because crystals represent light and earth energy.
Oh wow.
So they're really, I wear pendants.
Okay.
Crystals are really good for protection because it's like the dark being, the Leviathan beings they cannot tolerate that energy. It's like poison to them. But for us, it's healing.
Ask you a question. I want to show you something. This has really always bothered me. My friend's mother gave her this, and she said she gave it to me for protection because she thought I needed it. Her mom gave it to her for protection, and I don't know if it's for protection or if it'll. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks really nice, and it's a heart, so that's your heart energy. Is that a crystal in there?
No, that's a flower. It's a 100-year-old flower.
Wow, that looks really high vibrational. If you're feeling anything like weird, I would personally wear that, because that looks like a silver setting.
No, it's like a copper. It's an old necklace, and it's plastic. It's a plastic thing holding in this flower. I think this flower's from Scotland.
Really? That's funny because that's where I come from. I was born.
What do you think of that?
That's an amazing coincidence, which does not surprise me. It's from Scotland, of all places. Do you have family there or ancestry?
No, it's her. Yeah,
Okay.
well, I do too. I'm yeah. But she told me here, this is for protection. She used to see the shadow man.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever wear it?
No, I didn't know what to think about it.
Yeah. Well, if you like it and you still feel attacked.
I feel bad she gave it to me because I heard she's doing bad ever since I left the state with it. So maybe it is to protect me. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're called to it, get a little chain and wear it and see if you notice any changes. Otherwise, you can hold it, meditate with it. But I personally like to wear a pendant because it symbolizes having protection on your body.
So does it look like something positive? You get positive off of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Flowers are some of the highest vibration natural substances on this planet because they're connected. What they do is they share their energy to the sun. That's why flowers come out in the sunshine. So it's the high vibe nature energy so I think that's great, and I think that would probably protect you if there was something that's you're being bothered by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to your question, uh, so without going too much into the story of Earth, the history of Earth, what I've come to realize is that this was a prison planet, but we're in the process of a liberation by light beings, and basically what's called the Galactic Federation, which is thousands of planets and races that are like, they're kind of like a peacekeeping force, and they're trying
Yeah.
to free this planet from any external control. But because the universe operates on certain laws of free will, they can't just come in and just change, because they would be the very evil that started this. So the only way they can help us is if we ask for help and we do it, and we be the change that we want to see. That's kind of what I figured out. And so
I think that's why we're having earthquakes and
yes.
all of our stuff, and then we're starting to hear the trumpets go off.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of it's kind of like the apocalypse or some of these Bible prophecies, but a lot of that prophecy is actually, some of that's kind of fear stuff as well. So you got to just be careful just to not be doom and gloom, but see the change.
The one thing about the Bible I've noticed is it repeats itself.
Yeah, the Bible, there was actually many other Bible books, but they were taken out because they were actually really helpful, like the Book of Enoch, the Dead Sea Scrolls, things like that. So, I mean, there is good in the Bible, but there's actually stuff they added to it. So I don't 100% trust it, but some of it is good. We just have to, choose.
I believe, I think that the revelations and everything already happened, but it's about to happen again.
Yeah, I think it will happen for the people who haven't.
Deja vu.
Oh yeah, yeah. What I've come to learn is that people who are doing their spiritual work, who are generally loving, will be taken to the new earth, and they'll just be guided. But people who do evil things, who are basically, they're not terrible, but they're gonna attract the karma of what they've already done. So what I believe is there's going to be a splitting, two worlds. So one's going to be a nature earth kind of world, and then the other one's going to be a kind of an artificial intelligence, the whole 5G thing. It's going to be like big cities, but high tech. And we're going to have a choice which one we want to go to.
I think you're right. I have a feeling like you're right, because Madonna and those guys sing, "Everyone's not going to the future. Everyone," you know that song? Have you heard of that one?
I haven't, but I would like to hear it.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you because it resonates what you're saying. So
right.
I already.
Yeah, it's not to say that like everybody's like they're doomed. It's just like everything. We're going to learn the lesson. We might go to a darker place, but this is, to me, Earth's like a school, and or like a rehab. Actually, that's what I've heard from one. And like when we're being rehabilitated in a hospital, if we don't show that we're well, we're going to be kept there. And it's not that, because it can be a prison or
like recycled here.
Yeah, reincarnation cycle, but that's going to end because a lot of these things, they were based on illegal practices, and because pretty much this planet was taken hostage, it's like someone was being held by a gun, and if they were taken away, the gun would have been let off. But it's nuclear bombs that were actually.
Yeah.
So it's pretty horrible, but actually, in a way, all the lessons we learn will ultimately make us better people, because even dark stuff, it gives wisdom. And so the spiritual beings who are watching us, I really believe we're protected whatever happens. Even if this place is destroyed, we will go in a spirit form and be taken to another place. That's what I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, it's
really
positive. Interesting. Yeah, it's it just helps because it is really, really difficult being here often, and but we have the opportunity right now. I don't know how long it's going to last until changes occur. So
I feel that stuff that we endure, I think it's supposed to humble us and
yes.
make us feel more things
Oh yeah.
we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have gone through some really, really, really dark times where I just didn't want to be here at all, and just in constant pain and fear. And it made me pray
Yeah.
to just have humility, where I was just grateful for the tiniest things, like the taste, the sounds, just music. And so when I was grateful for those things, then I could be grateful for anything, even the people who were
Yeah.
hurting. And and that's why I feel if we help each other, everyone's going to be benefited ultimately. So that's why this ascension process it really seems like the world's changing every day, and it's just exciting to talk to people like you, and we can actually share this stuff.
Yeah. You can't barely tell anybody anything about this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We have to pretty much be very selective. So that's like on that starseed group, you can share stuff. Like I think, yeah, it's so we just be selective, and then when we feel like there's a safe space, then we can open up. And that's why I'm really grateful that you're open to do this, because it's not not everyday thing.
Yeah.
So
My
I think.
husband was laughing at me. I don't believe in this.
Oh yeah, it probably sounds a
And then
little crazy at first, but
I told my husband about I look like I'm from the drawn eyebrow dimension, and we started laughing so hard about her saying that. I was just laughing so hard.
the drawn eyebrow dimension.
Yeah, from my wanting to know what starseed I was, that girl, it made me just laugh. I can't help it. I got her dark sense of humor.
Well, that's kind of cute. Oh, wow. So we can do this
It's
another
funny.
time if you like. But in the meantime, feel free to. I'll share all these links to on the messenger of like stuff you can read about, videos, maybe.
Okay.
And just feel free to anytime ask any questions, because I on the messenger I can share more stuff, and we could also do another video sometime. But I think we've really talked about the main things so far that I think is pertinent.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I guess I'll end the recording now, and then you can say something after. But thank you so much
Okay.
for joining me here.